friends, welcome to today's video. I'm going to flip through the brand spanking new Collage Catalog. Before we start, I'm going to play with this today and do 3 journal spreads for you, just showing you how I like to rip it apart, tear it up, get it going in your journals. This was specifically designed to rip apart, but if you're someone that just can't bring yourself to do it, please photocopy the pages. I will not stress over the fact that you need some photocopies to play with. There's some of these did not make it through transit very well, so there is some damaged stock. The one I'm flipping through is actually damaged in the bottom corner, you can see there. It's got a bit of a fold, completely usable still, but I will be selling those at a significantly reduced price in Etsy. Just keep an eye out for my Insta story, and hopefully I'll remember to put it in the Facebook group as well when the listings go live for this new batch of stuff. But this is essentially 36 pages of, you know, illustrations, painted backgrounds, collage pieces, lots of different stuff that you can just cut up and play with. There are some full-on journal pages in there that you could just rip out and stick into an A5 book and you'd be sweet to go. But I wanted to give you a lot of variety to play with and hopefully just kind of spark some creativity in whatever process you're playing with. You don't have to do collage. You can you know, use some of the illustrations and try and illustrate them yourself, or you can take some inspiration from a color palette. Whatever you like to do with this type of stuff, I'd encourage you to just do it because I want you to have a great time. But I'm going to be collaging today and using some Tim Holtz Distress collage medium in matte. I say that because I actually designed the book with this paper in mind to be used for matte mediums. Matte mediums generally have some water content in there that will usually buckle a lot of papers, so I wanted this to be a little thicker than it needed to be for a regular glue stick, and that was so that you could use some matte medium with it. I also wanted the print quality to be really vibrant and really sharp, so I used a coated stock. The problem with that is that if you're someone that really loves pencils, you're not going to be able to go straight on the top of this with pencils. And you know, if you've got the workarounds, if you've used mediums before, if you've used collage mediums, if you've used matte mediums, you'll know what you can kind of get away with working on top of those. But for anyone that's kind of new to that process, if you do just want to draw on top of this stuff, I would just recommend putting it through a photocopier, and then you know, you'll have some regular copy paper, and we all know that pencils love that. So there's always a workaround for everything. If you've got any questions on how to specifically use something, or if you need a specific result, just pop me a question, or DM on Instagram is probably the best place to get a hold of me, if I'm honest. Just pop me a question and hopefully I can have an answer for you. The reason I created it was because I had a lot of requests back in the day when I would put up collage sheets to have printed versions, to have a hard copy, and it was always confusing to me how to present that, because I thought, well, am I just supposed to print out a few sheets, or like how many do you print, and how much do I charge for that? Do I just send them off in an envelope or something? There never seemed like a really obvious solution to me, but this seems like one, and it was more kind of in the vein of a lot of people talk about this magazine, the Flow Paper Lovers magazine, because it's got lots of you know, various pages in there and lots of illustrations you can use that are really great for collaging. But I've never owned one, and I wanted to create one that was just more based around all of the imagery that you've seen before in the archives or on an Instagram post, or you know, we've done together on YouTube before, and I wanted to give people access to all of that, especially in the Patreon experience, because it's all pretty brand specific. So it's just kind of, you know, my personal response to the Flow Paper Lovers magazine, and I thought it would be a really great idea for anyone that was just looking to get into collage, but you know, wanted to give it a bit more of an art journal feel. And you know, sometimes your brain works in a completely different way when you're collaging, not gonna lie. I've said this before. It kind of kicks into this weird puzzle play mode, and you get a lot of, you know, varied and really interesting results when you're collaging, you know, compared to when you're just illustrating or painting or whatever. That's why the collage and illustration tutorial came about, because I started picking up on the fact that when I was collaging things together, they were so much more quirky and interesting than when I could just draw them from my head. So when you're doing that, you kind of don't want to be out of that process. You don't want to, you know, collage and then go back to your printer and try and print out a new collage sheet and then come back to your table. I thought this would be a great little one-stop shop for, you know, anything and everything. There's some backgrounds in there, there's some faces in there, and some bodies, and lots of strips and full pattern pages and painted papers. There was a whole bunch of like you know, all the art journaling goodies, like the stuff that we love to use as art journalists. We love all of it. We love too much of it. That's why we hoard all of it. So there's a friendly reminder at the start of the book to not hoard it and to not be precious about it. And like I said, if you need to be safe, then just photocopy it. I really don't mind. It does not bother me that you photocopy this stuff. I would rather you be happy and feel inclined to use it and work with it and play with it than just keep it on your shelf and be scared of it. So encourage you to do that. If you want to follow along anything that I've done today, all of it comes from the book, so you'll have access to every single thing you need to recreate these journal pages. Again, I don't have any problem with you copying when it comes to learning. I think it is a really effective way to learn, and I am more than happy for you to literally do exactly what you see on the screen today. There are actually three spreads that I create today. The second one, I'm going to take the footage from that and re-voice over it as a demo for YouTube. So if you see that pop up on YouTube, don't bother watching that unless you want to hear what I have to say there. Which I can't imagine that you would, because it's just going to be it's going to be about the Collage Catalog, and we've already talked about it. But if you want to see it, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to tell you can't. I'm not going to tell you what you can't do, because I know me. As soon as someone says don't do something, that's literally the next thing to do on my list. It's just a problem. It's just the way that I am. I'm hardwired to do it. It's a fact. My mother is like that. It is genetic. So so I'm not going to tell you what to do, but just so you know, just so that it's up there and you don't waste your time watching it. Today I had a really, really great play with it, and I think this is kind of because I had a full day set aside yesterday just devoted to playing and creating. I literally created so many things yesterday that I was actually kind of sick of everything at the end of it. Now, I haven't been at that place for a long time. Usually I get really into it and then I have to move over to some work stuff, and you know, I can set aside like a few hours per week, you know, usually late at night when everyone's asleep, like the whole world is turned off and it's just Oliver sleeping at my feet and Bianca snoring out on the couch. Which, you know, Steve's asleep. I can literally just go nuts in my own little peaceful world, kind of tune out and just start creating. But even then, you know, it's so late at night, I maybe get an hour of the way through it and then I fall asleep myself. But I set aside the whole day yesterday, not intentionally, it just kind of happened. I started playing, and then before I knew it, it was nighttime, and I had just played the entire day, and it was so good exhausting myself like that, in that good way where you're like, oh, I did so much, there's like literally nothing left in me, and I feel like I only need, you know, 25 minutes to regenerate. I could get to that point and be like, oh, I can't do anymore, I can't do any drawing. But you know, creativity is one of those things, the more you use, the more you have. And so when you're in that process and you keep going and you keep going, you end up kind of pushing through all of that, and then you keep going even more. The only thing that'll stop you is if you have to go somewhere, and if you have to go to sleep, or you have to eat, or you have to go to the bathroom. So I did get to that point, and I thought, honestly, truly, at the end of it, I went to sit on the couch and I thought, I can't even imagine like filming a video tomorrow. Like, I thought I couldn't even imagine it. There's no way. I've used up way too much of all of my creative energy. I've done too many things. I should have saved some things. I should have made myself excited for tomorrow. But I wasn't. As soon as I woke up this morning, I thought, oh great, I get to sit down and play with all that stuff I was playing with yesterday. And so I think I had such a great time doing it, and felt so loose and you know, freed up by the end of it. I had some ideas that I wanted to try, some new things I wanted to look at. That place for me where I get really experimental and where I play by myself is where I get to think of a lot of the ideas that I want to do on YouTube or Patreon, or for online courses, and even, you know, in-person workshops. When I was doing that, when I was getting all of that ready, a lot of it came from that personal playtime, because you know, it's all about the headspace, really. I mean, as much as your headspace gets into this different, you know, work mode when you're collaging, my headspace is in a different work mode when I'm collaging on camera and when I'm collaging by myself off of camera. There's a slight difference to it. You know, anything I'm doing on camera, I'm a lot more present for. My brain is very active in two parts. There's that whole part of my creativity and imagination that, you know, tells the other part of my brain to tune out, like get rid of everything, don't think about anything, just be loose and be free. And then there's the other part of me that thinks, is it recording? Is everything in frame? You know, how long is this going to take to edit? Did any of this file get corrupted? Like, all of these other things are always constantly in the back of my head too. Whereas when I'm just creating by myself at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and if I'm just sitting at my desk in my off-camera journal, there is nothing going on in my brain. Literally, I mean, you could just swim through there and not find anything. So I do have to set aside time to do that. Otherwise, I don't get to fill up my well. Like, as I heard somewhere, I think it was a TED Talk. It's probably a TED Talk. I love a good TED Talk, but it's, you know, people should be experiencing the overflow. You know, you need to fill up your own well before you start to let other people drink from that. And it's always this, you know, very visual representation going on in my head. I'm always thinking, like, how empty is my cup right now? Am I really trying to get people to take, you know, just the smallest bit of leftovers, just like the drops, like the dregs of what I have left? Or am I completely full and am I overflowing right now? And I really do check in with myself at that. And there are times, I'm not going to lie, where I have thought it's okay. You know, there's a time constraint. I have to do it. I have to sit here and do this video right now, or I have to, you know, create this content right now. So I'm just going to push through it. My cup is half full. It's okay. I'll exhaust it until it's empty, and then I'll try and fill it back up again. I've never truly gone on fully empty, I don't think. I've never really tried to approach that, because I think I think I've done that in the past, and I actually just scrap the videos and don't even get much done. Like, if anything, good at all. Not too much good happens for me when I'm on empty, so I always try to avoid being empty. But I, you know, there have been times where I haven't been fully ready for it, and where I've been, you know, half full, and I notice the difference. I can see that I didn't create as much, or what I created didn't seem as confident, like maybe I wasn't as happy with it. But yeah, yesterday, I mean, it's literally like that dam that's just, if you've had like a big rainstorm and it's just bursting. And then today when I went to sit down, I had all these ideas I wanted to try, and I felt really great about it, and they were super varied. Like, the first one was very whimsy ween, because I'm fully in that headspace right now. I'm sorry, Target has their Halloween stuff out, so I take my cues from Target. If you have an issue with it, please bring it up to Target corporate, but I will not take any responsibility for getting into Halloween right now. I'm so obsessed. I can't wait. I love the Whimsy Ween prompts list. I will let that out this week, I think, or next week. I think I have it scheduled for next week, literally the week before Whimsy Ween starts. I was going to do it on October 1st, but a few people have already contacted me about, like, they're going away for a part of October, or, you know, just wanted to see the prompts list beforehand and know what that's all about. So I'm going to release it a little bit earlier, and also try and get the Inktober stuff released too. My goodness, I just remember I had to do that. I'm not gonna lie, I seriously struggled to get this story together. It's really hard to write a super open-ended story, in the sense where whatever you're illustrating can be taken a bunch of different ways. So still working on it, but hopefully I can get that out this week too. But yeah, I felt like I was super ready to tackle... Oh, pardon me. I shouldn't have had that Coke Zero before I started. The Coke Zero and the 55 chocolates fun size that are sitting at my desk. I wanted to get to that place where I felt super ready to do it. I did. I sat down. It felt great. I loved what I came up with today, and that's why I think it's, you know, I can tell myself all I want, like, oh, I don't need to schedule time for that this week, or I just didn't have enough time, and that's okay. It's never okay. It's never okay to put it on the back burner. You know, it's a cycle. We'll all go through it as creatives. Anyone that works in a creative field, like, we'll all kind of, it's the first thing to go, you know, doing it for yourself, and then it's the thing that you should be bringing back all the time, but it's the first thing we make an excuse for. So for me, I'm trying to be a lot better about it. Ever since I got my off-camera journal, I have been a lot better about it, because I keep seeing how practically, the practical ways in which it helps. And you know, sometimes it seems very daunting to set aside time to do something, you know, without the camera turned on, especially knowing that sometimes I need content, but I know that the content that I'm going to get out of it after the fact is inevitably always going to be better if I've taken the time to do that playtime for myself, to do that research for myself, to experiment for myself. And you know, there's sometimes I'm still mad about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, sometimes I get mad because some of the things I create, I think, oh, like, I wish I had this on a video because this is the tutorial that I want. And sometimes I remake the sample and I hate the way that it's remade. Like, it's just missing all of the fun of the original. But I'm super happy because, you know, just as many times as that happens, it actually happens more often than not that I get what I love on camera. And, you know, this page that you're looking at right now on the right hand side, that was from the Instagram live when I first got the Collage Catalog, and I was ripping that apart, showing everyone that you can rip it and that you should rip it. But Instagram kicks you off after an hour, and I already struggle with my Wi-Fi connection, so that's as far as we got in the hour, and I just didn't love how it turned out. I thought, okay, well, I showed some techniques there that I'm probably going to end up using when I go to demo it. Ironically, I didn't use that technique today. I didn't veil over anything. I didn't carve out the silhouette with paint like I did on the page on the right. I actually just went with a bunch of different ideas that I was playing with yesterday. So that's what I mean. Like, if you set aside this time to do some of that private playtime, you open yourself up for so much better, like for so much more, for better content, for, you know, more fun playtime for yourself. And maybe it's not even better content, maybe it's exactly the same, but it's going to feel better for you to do it. So just a helpful hint to anyone out there that wants to start recording their content. It's typically when people start filming the process videos. That's when people start to struggle with this because, you know, when you're filming, it really is different than when you are creating off camera and by yourself. And even I've noticed creating on Instagram Live is very different to creating a video, you know, especially because it happens in an hour. You've got to do it so quickly, which I kind of struggle with. I don't like to work that quickly and with a time constraint. Sometimes I can work quickly, but it's an accident. Like, I didn't need to do it in 20 minutes. It just happened in 20 minutes, and that's great. But yeah, the hour that it kicks you off after, that just really irritates me. So I'm going to have to try and see if Facebook streaming is better or YouTube streaming, but I don't know if I can do that on my phone. I haven't researched it yet, so I'll have to have a look into that. But yeah, so I went to just go and create, and I just felt really good about it. I felt good about the whole thing. I loved what I caught on camera this time. I think that was my favorite sample, the second one, which is why I'm going to use that as my sample for YouTube. It's so funny to me because I still struggle with it. Is there anything that you, like, you know what it's the same as? It's the same as a diet. I know. Every single time I start dieting, I do the same thing. I think I'm not alone in this. Oh, here, I'm doing a page renovations on this. I love that I could finally get this page to something that I liked. The pages were sticking together, so it was always kind of a problem, but those little packaging in there was really, really bulky, and I thought I could just rip the page out, but then I thought I'd, like, ruin the journal, so I just tore them all off, and I was going to glue this page over the top anyway, so it didn't really matter that there was tear marks in there. Super happy with what I did on this page. Just going to put it out there because it's quite simple in its approach, but I'm so much happier with how it looks now, so fully into renovating pages still. But back to what I was saying, you know, it's like when you're on a diet. Every time I do this, I'll go to the, not the health food store, but I'll get some healthy foods. I'll say I'm not going to drink any Coke Zero or Diet Coke. I'll just be drinking water. You know, 2 hours in, I'm the healthiest person you've ever met. I'm telling everyone how healthy I am. I cannot get enough of me. I think I'm literally, like, I think I should be a personal trainer. Like, I get delusional about when I'm trying to lose some weight. And then when I actually start losing some weight, and I'm kind of one of those weird types where, like, I'm generally in a state of just being unhealthy, but as soon as I try it, like, the weight kind of drops off a little quick. And so it's kind of dangerous for me because I feel like I can start eating again, you know, a week in. My health journey is what it is. Let's just be real about that. But diet's the same thing. I keep telling myself, you know, when I'm doing it, oh, this is amazing. Why don't I do this all the time? Like, it makes me feel better. I've got more energy. Like, I look better, so I feel better. And, like, you know, all the great things that happen when you're dieting and you're having some success with it. You know it's what you should be doing. You know it's good for you. You know it takes a bit of effort, but you know you feel better after the fact. Why do I still struggle with it? Why? Like, why do I still not commit to it like I know I should? If it's going to give me the results I want, like, it's just ridiculous to me. Weight loss and, like, that whole journey is one of the the biggest struggles I have in life, honestly, if I'm being truly honest. Aside from the fact that my personality is a lot extra, and there can be some problems about that. But yeah, the weight loss struggle is like something I've been on ever since I was born. And it's just something that is always a struggle for me. But every time I do it, I know it's good for me, and I know I see the results, and it's so bizarre. But that's kind of what I relate, this off-camera kind of playtime for me. The business sense of that. The version of me that's, at work. When I have to sit down and analyze like what's going on here, I approach it the same way. I know it's good for me, but it's like, do I set aside time for it? Do I commit to it? Are there times when I think I can get away with it, or it's not that important? And then what are the struggles that happen after it? It's kind of the same thing. It's, in the way that my body feels, kind of defeated, in the way that, when I stop dieting, or in the way that, if I don't set aside time or energy and devote to the weight loss, I don't see the results that I want, or I see, some of the good work going away. That's the same things that the same thing that happens creatively. I feel like when you take yourself off of that, that the balance that you have in your creative diet, when you're making sure that the input is good and the output is the good part of what you do on the input. Am I even making sense there? See, I'm trying to talk in the way that maybe I think a health professional would, but I don't even know that much. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're really into your creating, and you think, okay, well, this is my job, I have to do this because it's going to be better for me, and if I put the effort in, it'll show, and I'll be better for it. And I truly am, I really am. But there are still times when I just think, oh, it's not that important. Or, I know it's important, but maybe I could get away with it this week. It's just, you never can. You can never get away with it. And in the same way that your body will start to show up and be like, hey, remember me? I'm your love handle. Like, your creativity will do the same thing. You'll go to draw something and be like, hey, you know how you haven't drawn a circle in 3 weeks? Well, this is what you get for that. It's just so funny to me. What you put in is what you get out of it, and it's the same with everything in life, truly, I believe. But I only relate it to this creative arts expression because that's the business that I'm in, and it's truly one of those things that I do struggle with. So I've heard other people struggle with it before. I've heard other creatives do the same thing. I've heard other creatives have attempted having off-camera journals, or have really scheduled regimented time frames where they're only supposed to be creating for themselves or off-camera. It's not something that is unique to me. It is a very common thing amongst a lot of people, and I think the problems are the same. I think it's hard for everyone to do it. I think the excuses all kind of look the same from all of us, and I think the results are the same. If you're not doing it, you're struggling a little bit. You're not finding fresh ideas. You're finding it difficult to move forward in confidence, and you're kind of staying a little stuck. And I think if you are doing it, then it shows because you've got fresh ideas. You're more confident in what you're trying. You're experimenting with different things, and you're the direction you're taking seems fresh. It's just obvious. It's like when you can tell when someone does take care of their health and when they don't take care of their health. I'm really glad that I related all of this to weight loss. I'm definitely not going to feel bad about myself leaving this voiceover literally looking at like the 20 chocolate wrappers I have in front of me. This is just insane. You can tell what's on my mind at the moment, what I feel guilty for right now. I will get there. I'm considering literally just having a journal page that said mermaid made me fat. I know I said this in a video the other day, someone had commented on it, and I thought it was so funny that anyone picked up on it, because I thought I just kind of snuck it in there, but it's truly what I feel sometimes. I'm trying to look for someone to blame for the reason that I gained weight and that I, jumped off my health journey, but it's really not Mermaid's fault, it's my fault. And I have just as much power to fix it as I do to schedule some time for me to create. If I can schedule, a whole day yesterday creating, why can't I schedule like 25 minutes on a treadmill? I should do it. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos on the treadmill, so now that I've got all these Patreons, maybe I can just go and watch Patreon videos only on the treadmill. Perhaps. That's most likely not going to happen, but you have my word that I will maybe think about trying to get back on my health journey sooner rather than later. How's that for a get out of jail free card? No, I'll have to do it because I need to be healthier. But yeah, creative health I feel like is on point. Let's just, maybe because I'm feeling happy about that, I'll have some more time to devote to my physical health. Anyway, random tangent. Sorry we ended there, but it's just how I'm feeling. Just my life, just my journey, just my story. Until next time, hope you enjoyed the collage play and talk to you soon. Bye.